Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable, my supervisor, Dr. Sir Syahrial M.A. and Dr. Sir Dedi Sofyan M.Hum. The Honorable, my examiners, M. Gita, Mutiara, Hati, M.Pd, and Sir Ildi, Kurniawan, M.Pd. Today, I would like to present my undergraduate thesis about student perception towards the use of Quipper School as a media in learning English during COVID-19. Before I start to present my undergraduate thesis, let me introduce myself. My name is Octania. I am a student English Education Department, University of Bengkulu. I have divided into 5 parts. The first, introduction, second, literature review, third, methodology, fourth, result and discussion, and the last, conclusion and suggestions. Chapter 1, Introduction. 1.1 Background. The development of technology with all the information that all people in the world can explore. Therefore, the information provided impacts the world of education through information which is obtained by the media as a learning tool that can be accessed via smartphones, laptops, and tablets. COVID-19. The world is facing COVID-19, which according to Roxby 2020 is a disease spreading to multiple countries around the world simultaneously. The impact the COVID-19 given the world of education is enormous and horrible. The Ministry of Education and Culture in Indonesia should be during COVID-19 period, students were required to study at home since school and university are closed. Therefore, teachers and lecturers apply distance learning system. Quipper School. Quipper School is a free online learning platform for teachers and students. It fortunately happens since innovation in learning methods continue to develop in the COVID-19 situations. Students initially use Quipper School for 3 months during the learning process, and after that, the teacher used Google Classroom as a digital school learning platform. The main reason for researching student perception of using Quipper School as an online learning is compared to other online learning platforms such as Edmodo, Kahoot, Moodle, Zoom, Google Classroom, and others. Teachers at SMA 8 use Quipper School as the preferred online learning platforms. When COVID-19 appeared in Indonesia, it is important to know about the perception of students who use Quipper School because they want to see the effectiveness of learning process carried out by the teacher through Quipper School website during the COVID-19 period, which can be seen by students and teachers with a level of difficulty that has advantages in the Quipper School site. Material. In learning material delivery, a teacher uses a digital school platform applied through learning methods to make it more efficient for students. At the time of COVID-19, SMA 8 Bengkulu City applies Quipper School platform learning method. Student perceptions. Distance learning. This distance learning indeed affects students and requires teachers to understand the students' condition regarding the difficulty of accessing Quipper School website in sending assignment with unstable internet connection and lack of motivation due to adaptation process of using Quipper School as a learning media platforms. 1.2 Statement of the problem. First, students need more alternative resource for learning, but they have difficulty understand the material and operating it. 1.3 Research question. First, what are student perceptions of using Quipper School as an online learning platform in learning English during COVID-19? 1.4 Objective of the research. First, the purpose of this study to determine students' perception of using Quipper School platform during COVID-19 situations. 1.5 Limitation of the problem. This research focuses on 11th grade IPA students at SMA 8 Bengkulu City in the academic year 2020 or 2021. The researcher will study the use of Quipper School as an online learning platform, focusing on the main aspect, the analysis of student perception of using Quipper School. 1.6 Significance of the study. First, for teacher. Teachers can evaluate the learning media used with the Quipper School to know and the advantages of online learning platforms. Second, school principal. The school principal adjusts to online learning used by students and teachers with the existence of Quipper School as a platform to become a suitable learning media for students according to the curriculum 2013 or K13. 1.7 Definition of the key terms. First, Quipper School. Quipper School is a media used by teachers for distance learning based on the material and learning assignment to be delivered. Quipper School is a medium of instruction for helping teachers achieve their teaching learning objectives. Second, perception. Perception is a process of interpreting sensory data through our sense. Chapter 2, Literature Review. 2.1 Teaching and learning process conduct during COVID-19. The impact on humans is not only from health but also the economy and education. Education that is useful for containing the nation generation with the learning pandemic's impact is less effective because there's no direct interaction between teachers, lecturers, and students. 2.2 Media as a learning tool. Media is a learning tool because the media get information and attracts students to learn using media as a learning facility tool. According to Putra 2013, state that media is a channel from the transmitter to the recipients. 2.3 Online learning. Online learning is a challenge for teachers who should be right on the platforms as a learning media, and students have their respective obstacles to online learning. According to Rosette 2002, online learning has many benefits, but it takes commitment and resources, and it must be done right. Online learning divided into two parts. The first, advantages of online learning. According to Evans and Fan 2002, who suggests that there are three main advantages to online learning. First, learner determine location for learning. Second, learner determine time of learning. Third, learner determine study pace. And disadvantages of online learning. According to Holland and Moore 2002, many students report that it was difficult to clarify assignment due to lack of communication between students and instructor. According to Van der Waal 2003, students who report disadvantages of an online learning. Example of online learning platform. First, Edmodo. Edmodo is a learning platform. Not only students and teachers who have connection, even parents can monitor their children's progress and has features such as polls, guidebooks, quiz, and files and links. Second, Moodle. The Moodle learning management system is that more powerful and effective learning management system than the Blackboard learning management systems. Third, Ruang Guru. The teacher's room is an interactive process between students and experienced teachers through virtual tutoring with video features, practice question, and study recommendations. 2.4 Quipper School. Quipper School is one of the media e-learning with open source. E-learning is a type of web media. E-learning is the most learning management system activity and the backbone of learning activities. Since 2014, this media was launched and could be accessed by teachers and students. As the CEO of Quipper School, Masayuki Watanabe, said that Quipper School is designed to empower teachers and students by supplementing traditional methods with powerful and exciting platforms. 2.5 Perceptions. According to Richards and Smith 2002, perception can be defined as follows. Perception can be seen through recognizing and understanding even objects and stimuli through the sense, sight, hearing, touch, or etc. There are several different types of perception distinguished: A. Visual perception, perception of visual information and stimuli. B. Auditory perceptions, perception of information and stimuli received through the car. Auditory perception requires a person as a listener to detect previous types of sounds and can judge the difference between types of sounds according to difference and characteristics of the sound. 2.6 Preview Study. There are several sources from the preview study. The first study is from Septinawati in 2020. Journal is a qualitative study entitled Student Perceptions Toward the Implementation of Quipper School as a Learning Platform in Teaching English. A qualitative study at Senior High School Tasikmalaya, West Java. The population consists of 2 classes, 53 students, and using a cluster sampling technique. This research used a questionnaire and interviews instruments. The questionnaire has 10 positive statements and 10 negative statements about students' interest, motivation, expectation, ineffectiveness, and Quipper school difficulties. Then the interview session was given after answering the questionnaire. This study aims to obtain in-depth information. It seems equally important to have more information and to now explore the advantages and disadvantages of implementing the current Quipper school. Second was from Agustina 2017. Journal is qualitative descriptive study entitled Perception of Indonesian Teachers and Students on the Use of Quipper School as an Online Learning Platform for Extended EFL Learnings. A qualitative study at Senior High School Mojokerto City, East Java. The sample are 6 students and 3 English teachers. This study aims to know perception of EFL teachers implemented Quipper School as a platform for EFL students' learning. This research used interview guide. This question include in the interview for subheading presents in the sections and arranged conforming to precise order. The result of the study that the Indonesian EFL teachers use the platform not only for coping with the limited time available for EFL teaching, but also due to the significant value on the platform to support the student EFL learning. The third was from Auliana 2017. The thesis is a qualitative descriptive study entitled Teachers and Students' Perception in Using Quipper School in English Language Teaching and Learning at second grade of special in SMA Budi Utomo Perak. Qualitative study Senior High School Budi Utomo Perak, Jombang City. The samples are for class of 328 students and 4 teachers in second grade. This research instrument used questionnaire and interview guidelines. This study evaluates student and teacher perception Quipper School in language teaching learning its benefit for ELT. The fourth study was from Febrianti in 2018. The thesis is a descriptive mixed method study entitled Student Attitude Towards Quipper School as an English Online Learning Media at SMA 1 Agrak Makmur Bengkulu Utara. A descriptive mixed method study at SMA 1 Agrak Makmur Bengkulu Utara. The sample of this research was 158 students. The instrument that was used in this research was questionnaire, which is of 27 items. The result of this research showed that students had positive attitude toward Quipper School as an all-English online learning media, with the main score for all aspects 3.76. The main score for cognitive was 3.85. The main score for affective aspect was 3.71, and the main score for behavior aspect was 3.72. It means that students of SMA 1 Bengkulu Utara generally had positive attitude toward Quipper School as an English online learning media. Chapter 3, Methodology. 3.1, Research Design. This study, a descriptive qualitative research, which according to Creswell 2014, qualitative methods demonstrate a different approach to scholarly inquiry than methods of quantitative research. 3.2, Subject of the research. The subject of this study was students of class 11 grade IPA SMA 8 Muko City in the academic year 2020 or 2021. In this study, the researcher only took 20 students out of 32 students in class 11 grade IPA 1. 3.3, Interview Guidance. This study used an interview session via Google Form. The focus groups of students will be give 10 open-ended questions in the interview session. In addition, according Eri et al. 2010, said that open-ended question is a question that does not have fixed response alternative but allows the respondent as he or she choose. The purpose of the interview was to find out students' perception of using Quipper School that had been experienced during COVID-19. 3.4, Technique of data collection. One of the data collection techniques in qualitative research was an interview. In this study, the researcher conduct semi-structured interviews since they want to know the development of the topics being discussed through the questions that have been arranged, and the interviewers answer the question more flexibly. The semi-structured interview was useful in preparing and controlling questions that have been arranged through the answer, which may develop unexpectedly. This study used Google Form as a media to complete the data from the overall interview results. After that, there are 10 items of interview questions that will be answered by the respondents. 3.5, Technique of analyzing data. Based on Miles and Huberman educational research in Sugiono 2011, after collecting data, the next step was analyzing the data as follows. First, data reduction. In this first step, the researcher presents the data through the process of assessing the data by selecting, focusing, simplifying, and transforming data. Data were collected from interviews and documentation to support this research. The existence of this data reduction made it easier for the researcher to use it, and the data become clear. Second, data display. In this second step, the data display was a clearly organized collection of the data information that would have been drawn conclusion from the data. The data display helped the researcher understand the data by means of events that were happening through student perception of using Quipper School as a learning media during COVID-19. Third, drawing conclusion and verification. In this research, the final step was drawing conclusion and data verification. The researcher made temporary conclusion and suggestion from the result of the data to be obtained until they decide on the final conclusion. Chapter 4, Results and Discussions. 4.1, Results. Chapter 4, Results and Discussions. 1.1, Results. Grade 3, Positive Perception Data Result of Students Using Quipper School. The graph above show the highest to the lowest percentage of the number of interview response that state positively. In the result of the interview, the students' response was a positive response to students' perception of using Quipper School in learning English during COVID-19. There were 20 samples of students in this study. The highest interview response was 45, most of which said that Quipper School was easy implement in learning English. Based on the result of student perception, it was quite easy to access Quipper School. First, because it was easy to access by students, they could open the material anytime and anywhere. By using online video media, everyone nowadays could easily access it. Quipper School was easy to use for students because there were guidance to make it easier for someone who used Quipper School. There were positive student interview response to student perception of using Quipper School in learning English during COVID-19, which 37 each state that they help students learn English using Quipper School. Based on the result of student perception that Quipper School was very helpful for students in learning English. Previously, students who were less interested in English lessons now actually like English lessons. According to students, using Quipper School was very helpful in learning English because it was easily accessible and could motivate in learning English. The learning material and practice questions at Quipper School was very easy for students to understand. It was helpful because teachers and students could carry out teaching and learning activities effectively. Just like learning in school, teachers act as a facilitator in managing materials. Students could also easily do homework assignment and online exams, making it more practical. The interview response said that positively using Quipper School in language learning during COVID-19 were 15, which said that it was effective in implementing Quipper School as an online learning platform. Based on the result of student perception, teachers were very effective in implementing Quipper School as a English language learning during COVID-19 period in distributing assignment and materials. Quipper School not only made easier for students but also teachers. So teachers were more interested in using Quipper School as a medium for learning English. Quipper School was the right learning medium for online learning. Just watch with the video feature on the Quipper School platform. Students gain knowledge. However, it was still not effective because it was constrained by pandemic problems and the online learning systems. Few response that state positively using Quipper School in language learning during COVID-19 were 12, which state that increased students' motivation in learning English using Quipper School. The result of students' perception showed that being motivated to use Quipper School because Quipper School provide interesting learning features and access to video. Students' motivation is higher. In addition, learning methods could not only be obtained from school, but there are many other ways to access learning materials, and Quipper School was a platform to make easier to do assignment and motivate students in the learning process. Few response that state positively using Quipper School in language learning during COVID-19 were 12, which state that increased students' motivation in learning English using Quipper School. The result of students' perception showed that being motivated to use Quipper School because Quipper School provide interesting learning features and access to video. Students' motivation is higher. In addition, learning methods could not only be obtained from school, but there are many other ways to access learning materials, and Quipper School was a platform to make easier to do assignment and motivate students in the learning process. Interview response said that positively using Quipper School in learning English during COVID-19 was that 7 students often access Quipper School as an English online learning platform. Based on the results, students' perception during COVID-19, the productive hours of students studying, which was approximately 3 hours a day accessing Quipper School. There were also students who quite often access Quipper School maybe two or three times a week in English lessons. When you had free time, it was a suitable time to study at Quipper School and work on question in the material features on the Quipper School platforms. The smallest interview response that said positively using Quipper School in learning English during COVID-19, namely 4 said that improving that features at Quipper School as medium for English learning based on the result of student perception. What must be improved from Quipper School was to add videos on how a good thinking process looks like and how students view various forms of problems, so that students could solve problems in any forms and the way students think was more focused. Based on student perception, Quipper School must improve the material and practice questions. For negative perception data results of students using Quipper School, the graph above show the highest to the lowest percentage based on the number of interview response that said negatively. In the interview result, the student's response was a negative response to student perception of using Quipper School in learning English during COVID-19. Interview response to the highest negative perception of 12 said that students rarely access Quipper School as an English learning platform. Based on the results, students' perception that it was not too often students to access Quipper School platform about first or second times a week to help with homework. The interview response which said that it was negative to use Quipper School in learning English during COVID-19 was 6, which said that it was a negative perception that it was interesting to use Quipper School as an online learning medium. Based on the result, student perception that make learning English attractive using a material there was no comment features on Quipper School, so that there were material that the teacher want to convey through the Quipper School platform and the material features. Interview response which said that it was negative to use Quipper School in learning English during COVID-19, namely 5 said that students prefer other platform than Quipper School. According to students, learning will be more fun when using the Zenius platform than Quipper School, because on the Zenius platform there were loads of free learning videos and practice questions compared to Quipper School. Students prefer Google Classroom because this application was only intended for students who took part in learning at school. Was only intended to send assignment. Why didn't students choose Quipper School? Because this application was not only intended for school students in collecting their assignment, but besides that, the application was also an online tutoring application for its users. The interview response that said negatively using Quipper School in learning English was the smallest, namely 3 lack of student motivation in learning English using Quipper School as an online learning platform. Based on the result of student perception initially, using the Quipper School platform was very motivating for students in learning English. Based on what students know, the school required each discussed to use Quipper School with the aim that student and enthusiasm and learning intention do not to decrease. Table 5. Natural perception data result of students using Quipper School. From the table above, the interview response which state that they naturally use Quipper School in learning English during COVID-19 are 12, starting the positive students interview response using Quipper School as an English learning medium are participants 1, 3, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 15, 18, and negative response from students interviewed to the use Quipper School as a medium for learning English, namely 0. There was no negative interview response to the use of Quipper School based on the result of student perception in a natural manner. 4.2 Discussion. Quipper School platform that the students use is for free ones, not the paid tutoring. When students had logged into the Quipper School platform, there were features of materials, collected assignment, and videos. Therefore, students already choose what they want to do on the Quipper School platform without giving direction. From the findings of data about student perception about the use of Quipper School as a learning media in learning English during COVID-19, the highest perception of students who said that using Quipper School in learning English during COVID-19 was 45, which said that Quipper School was easy to apply in learning English. Based on the results student perception, they said being able to access school was quite easy to do. Mulyono's 2016 said that Quipper School was ready to use web-based learning that doesn't installation. Sukawati 2018 said that the various features of Quipper School could affect students learning. Quipper School as learning platform with technology make it easier for students to do the assignment given by the teacher with the material and learning question based on the curriculum. Chapter 5 Conclusion and Suggestion. 5.1 Conclusion. Based on the research result, it can be concluded that Quipper School is a free platform used to learn English in the study. SMA 8 was on the school in Bengkulu City with English teachers using the Quipper School platform. The results of this study indicate that the highest student perception is positively, stating that Quipper School was easy to apply in learning English. Students' perception said that besides being easy to use, there were features such as materials and videos. Students also felt that they were burdened with many assignments, so they can adapt to using Quipper School to learn English. Given that there were many more benefits over by using Quipper School, teachers should still consider that Quipper School platform is appropriate to use during COVID-19 period because of the many interesting learning features. 5.2 Suggestions. First, students. The researchers suggest that students to be even more active in doing English assignment on the Quipper School platform and ask the teacher directly if there is a material that they do not understand. Second, teacher. The researchers suggest in the English teacher to increase the number of assignment to students so that students can think more critically about assignment that have not been understood. Third, Quipper School. The researchers suggest the Quipper School platform regarding their lack of comment column features so that students can give suggestion or ask the teacher about English material that has not been understood, as well as video features can be animated more to make learning English interesting. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.